and welcome to the Explain It podcast. I am your host, Ingryd Hernandez. I'm super excited about today's episode, not only because it talks about how you can be a more efficient business owner leveraging automation and AI. And I know the word AI gets thrown around a lot, but I think automation is still like your number one efficiency driver. And one of the really, really cool parts about our guest is he is co-founder alongside myself with creativelisting.com. So we're going to take this as your reminder that if you have not signed up for creativelisting.com, you still can, super free. Go and do that. We'll talk to him a little bit about the progress there too, and how you can also leverage his services so that your business could be more efficient. So with that, bring up Raz Mahali. Hey.
Hey, Ingryd. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. Glad to be here.
Super. I'm super excited to have you here. Well, I have the great privilege to have you as a business partner of mine working on creativelisting.com. Of course, I lovingly call you 1 week Raz because I may have a crazy idea. And then 1 week later, it's like implemented.
It's not only implemented, it's live.
I think live. Yes, for sure. Thank you for clarifying that. And, you know, my background having been in in a technical department, and you also with your W-2 experience, it's like that's the bureaucracy of it all. You never see that happen. And so it's really cool to work on a startup from that perspective, having that like, hey, you know what it looks like when you're in like a multi-billion-dollar company, and whenever you want to create a feature or an update, it's like, okay, it'll happen on the quarterly schedule, on the sprint plan that makes sense, and make sure that we have a clawback plan and all that. So it's kind of cool. We don't have to go by that.
So. Well, we'll reminisce about the good old days when we reached those multi-billion milestones.
When we're
right?
so big, and then that's the schedule we have to follow for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's manifest it out there that's how big we're gonna get, and we're gonna have to be the same boring companies that have to schedule to go live. But cool. Sure. Well, you were also busy working on helping business owners become more efficient. And so I'm super excited to hear more about what you got cooking there. So tell us what's happened there.
Well, part of this whole wave that we're riding now, and I'm sure everybody is well aware because we're so bombarded with this from all different sources with AI revolution, right? Everybody's calling it the biggest wave that's been going on ever since the internet revolution, the .com era, right? And a lot of people are, especially business owners, are trying to figure out, okay, this I hear that this is the next big thing and that I should be doing something about it, but I don't know what, I don't know with whom, and what am I getting out of it, right? So I've been getting a lot of those messages and like talking to people at inside of our community and outside as well about people struggling to figure out what they should be doing now, how they should be adopting AI, how they should be embracing this transformation that we're in. And I've been working with folks on consulting them around automations, and a natural transition there is to incorporate AI and figure out how exactly to incorporate AI in their business. And it's just such a big demand right now that I'm focusing more on the AI transformation side right now. And we can get more in detail about what that means and how I help folks figure it out. Yeah.
Well, as somebody so we're both in Owners Club, and one of the things that we had to do as part of this mentorship is identify a big rock, right? And I have been very reluctant with AI, and because I'm in such a niche of a group, everybody's doing AI, right? And what I find now, obviously, I say I've been reluctant, but the reality is that because of your great leadership and understanding of the technical AI space, I'll call it, you've incorporated AI into creative listings so that the things that are repetitive, like for example, if you guys are using creativelisting.com and you have like your frequently asked questions and you're emailing us asking a question, if it's something that's already in our book of knowledge, if you will, it will respond back to you with next steps. And that,
yeah, we'll have Anna reply to you.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because and then I'll go into my little non-AI rant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so like with many things in a business, we started with a problem, right? Like with some pain, and the pain in this case was that we have a growing user base, and right now we're, I believe, at 92,000 last time I checked users on Creative Listing. So very close to our milestone there of 100K. And part of what comes with that growing user base is a need to interact with them and answer questions and so on. And as Ingryd said, we're a startup. We're pretty lean, and we didn't necessarily want to bring on a full support staff or get some external help with the support tickets. And a lot of them are technical, are like, hey, this button doesn't work, or how do I list a property if I'm just a buyer here? How exactly do I change that? And things like that. And all of that is information that we already have and in our help desk. It's just maybe people don't easily navigate there, or don't think to do that. It's much easier to just send an email to a support alias, which is fair, right? We want our users to interact with us. So that's when we started thinking about, okay, how can we actually leverage AI if we don't want to bring in an additional team here or just hire additional people to take care of this for us. And the solution was, let's build a support agent. We called her Anna, and Anna now knows everything there is to know about what we have in our knowledge base on how to list a property, what kind of user types are there, what is sub 2, what is seller finance, what is hybrid, what is a lease, right? We get questions like that as well, because Creative Listing is free to everybody. It's not just limited to the sub 2 community in any way. So Anna now knows how to answer all those questions. We've trained her on it, and she ingests information she ingests users' questions from email and from our support ticket, chat box, chat experience, in-app experience. And she's able to reply. And then when she's not able to reply, like if someone brings up a question that is beyond her capabilities, then she's trained to escalate to us. So, message will go either to Ingryd or me or someone else in our team, and we will handle it appropriately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is how you can start thinking about your own businesses and efficiencies where as you're it doesn't have to be perfect right off the bat. You can grow and evolve it so that, someone like me, that's how they think too. It's like, oh my gosh, do I have the bandwidth to incorporate? But if you can think of it more of like little bites of this big pizza, you don't have to have it all ready to go. You need the right way of processing it though, so that you can go a little bit at a time. So
yeah, and that's very much how we approached it as well. And all of it is an incremental journey, and we're improving, right? 1% better every day. But we first started with giving people the ability to have a chat experience, and then that chat experience that was not AI driven necessarily. There was an element to it, but we fed all the data that we had about the platform, and then people would just be able to chat, and then the relevant information would be pulled up and presented to them. So that was our first step. And later on is when we added this agent that is able to use the same information and then interact, right? Like if there is a follow-up question, our chat experience was not that great. Now it's much better. we added it to email as well. So Anna is able to reply to emails and have a multi-reply conversation in email. So yeah, iterative process.
Iterative approach. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So what I was saying before is that one of my big rocks that I wanted to at least initiate is to incorporate an AI environment or an AI process into my existing business. And the trouble with me is that I have a few. I don't just have one. So now it's like, which one would give me the biggest bang for my buck? And I really think where I want to put the AI in is really on my agent attraction and agent. And I don't mean AI agents, I mean real estate agents. So like for folks who
now you have to qualify it when you talk about agents.
Yeah. And I was talking to somebody and they're like, I was like, I have a really dumb question, because everybody who's a commercial agent calls himself a broker, but there's such a thing as a broker license and an agent license. So I was like, which are you? Because you're calling yourself a broker, and am I really dumb for asking you that question? He's like, no, you're not. It's a really great question. I really just am an agent, but we all call each other brokers on the commercial side. And I was like, okay. Cool. Because I was like, how dumb am I? Like, I don't get it. I don't get why you guys need to call yourself brokers and not agents. But regardless of that, what I'm focused on right now, and maybe if I could give you a little bit about my business, you could say, okay, well, here's what you could do. So what I'm focused on right now is agent attraction. So I just moved back to eXp Realty. eXp has a wealth of knowledge and wealth of programs for agents to come over and learn how to build their businesses and all that. For me, I think what makes me unique and attractive for people to come to my organization, and by organization, I mean, because eXp has structures where, like, if they're in my organization, they're not necessarily on my team, but it's almost like a network marketing program where it's like, okay, you're now, I don't like to use the word downline, but unfortunately that's what it is. But you shouldn't just go and like get sponsored or co-sponsored with somebody who isn't going to give you value back. That's the way it used to be. People would be like, oh, come join eXp and do this. But then there was no exchange of value. So you felt kind of like, hey, you get a piece of my split, but what are you actually doing for me? And so I didn't want to be somebody who has nothing to provide back. But I would say the majority of agents I speak to, because I speak to them a lot, like every week, majority of people I talk to are agents. They all want to learn more about becoming an investor, but they also want to do it in a way where their license isn't at risk, because either they want to start doing investing or they want to be able to go work with investors. And so how do you do it thoughtfully and intentionally? I was like, oh my goodness, I just need to set up a module, modules that's like, okay, here's all the things you need to know and understand about being a licensed agent in this investor world, right? And I was like, well, that's my value proposition, because if you want to be a really successful agent, eXp has tons of knowledge base for that. If you want to be an investor and have someone you can lean on, and then that's my proposition. So my goal is to create this module, have agents come and talk to me, real estate agents come in and like be a part of our group. We're going to meet on a weekly basis. So as they come across things that are like, hey, and it doesn't mean that they have to have a deal. It means that they could be like, hey, I was looking at this property, and what are your thoughts about, what we could do with that? And I want people to have a safe space where they could ask those questions. And just like I asked the dumb question, I was like, why do you call yourself a broker when you're just an agent? I want agents to feel the same way with me, that I'm not going to like judge them, because I would argue I knew very little about real estate as a real estate agent. I learned a lot about real estate when I became an investor. And like, I, put that on my grave, like, because I really do feel that way. Like, we're not trained on the things that I think make us help us think like an investor when we're getting our real estate license. So I have a lot of empathy for real estate agents. So, but what does this mean? It means I have to do a lot of agent outreach. I have to do a lot of like email campaigning. Like I have over 4,000 contacts on my phone and hundreds on my Blink. I'm like, okay, I need to figure out a way to say, okay, these contacts are agents. These contacts are like your BFFs. These contacts are just like vendor contacts, like categorize them. And then and then creating a cadence of staying in front of all of these agents, whether it's related to coming to EXP or not, right? Because I would want to be in front of agents anyways. That's my main core business on the investing side, is I do agent outreach and we talk about potential deals. I mostly reach out to agents that have properties on market, because that's how you easily filter out who's doing deals, who's not doing deals.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, now you've heard it. You're like, okay, Ingrid, stop talking. When you hear this type of business plan, so what is your process as you're looking to help business owners this service that you're providing?
Yeah. So in general, when you have that kind of a problem or a business plan and you just want to figure out how to tackle it, the best way to do it is to start with an audit, right? Because otherwise there are a lot of people, and I'm sure that your audience are getting lots of ads with like, hey, install this agent, this is going to revolutionize everything, and look how I'm using Jarvis and all that stuff, right? Like it's all very flashy, there's a lot of hype, and that just comes with the territory, right? Like everybody's in AI because a lot of it has been democratized, which is great, right? Everybody can build now. But the thing is, be careful how you triage those things, right? Like a lot of the same rules apply of buying services and stuff like that, right? Like vet the person, find out if there are any guarantees, all those good things. But the way that I approach it is we start with an audit, right? To determine what exactly are you doing? What are the tools that are involved, right? And I know our world, your world, I know pretty much what those tools are. So I'm able to fast track some of those things. I would still like double check with you what some of those integrations are, what you're using and stuff like that. But yeah, we would start with an audit, and then we would put together kind of an opportunity map, right? A ranked list of what are some of the things that are the highest leverage for you to do in order to achieve your goal, and then some bells and whistles on top of that. So to answer your question, and I'm glad that you asked this, because this is also a great segue into automations versus AI, which I think you mentioned in the beginning. A lot of what you just said is a matter of setting up the right automations, right? And then AI can be sprinkled in when you need some additional reasoning, right? And for folks who are not aware of what is the difference, right? Well, automation is something that we had before AI as well. You could integrate various different systems together. You could use tools like Zapier or, a Go High Level workflow or whatever your tool of choice is, multiple different tools out there. NA10 was another big one, right? Or is another big one that don't have anything to do with thinking, right? Or reasoning. So you can just plug all those things together. For example, in your case, you could set up an automation where first you load all your list in one place and you categorize it. Now so that could be just an automation. You upload everything and you make sure that it's all in one place. You build your database. Now, on top of that, you can add AI in the sense that now you may want to auto categorize your list, right? To split it in buckets. Like this is an agent, this is an investor, this is a private money lender, this is a capital raiser, this is a wholesaler, what have you, based on the information that you have on them, right? So like if you scan their Blink card at at Eddie's event, right? Chances are that they're an investor, right? If you scan their Blink card at an EXP event, chances are they're an agent, right? So you get some additional insights and some reasoning like this, right? Like we just went through like, oh, it must be this. That can augment what you're doing. And that's pretty much what I would suggest for a lot of people, who are starting out. Like, don't think as AI as this magic black box magic solution that you're just going to throw stuff at it and it's going to give you everything, because now you have Fable 5 and you still have it active for a few more days. It's a great solution and a great tool, but it's not the solution for absolutely everything. And you might get that's the thing with AI, right? You might get non-deterministic answers. So you plug in the same inputs, you're not going to get the same outputs on consecutive times, because that's just how it works. But with automation, it's deterministic. You're always gonna, when you have this input, it's gonna give you the same output. So use the right tool for the job, and use it to augment your flows rather than just completely replace how you work. Now, there are a lot of like cool things that you can do with what you just mentioned, with agent outreach and having an agent actually post things for you. But even that, like, a lot of it is automation. Like, what is automatic posting on different platforms? It's a job that runs on a schedule, and it's pulling some data, which is some video or some photo that, yes, you can generate with AI, right, based on the information that you have, and then it's posting it on various different platforms. But that is also just an integration, on an automation. It posts on X, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram, right, and YouTube.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I actually, and maybe we're on the same page a little bit. Like, I feel that a lot of what's being marketed as AI is actually automation for the most part. I've been to a lot of, or not been to a lot. I've had projects in the past where machine learning was a huge piece of what we were doing, because we were setting up
data,
this
right?
wiki. Yeah, we're just contextualizing the data. We had this huge wiki of data. And I used to work with a lot of business analysts and data scientists, and we're like, hey, we all have this specialty of knowledge for every data set we have out there, but we need to like brain dump it, which is, I think, what you really need to do with AI too. Is like, you have to intentionally do a lot of brain dumping. And I think Rhea Campbell has become real vocal about this. Like, again, it's not this silver bullet everybody thinks it is. It's you have something that I almost think of it as like a brand new baby. Like, this baby needs to learn how to become an adult, and only you're going to do it much, much faster. And you're going to train it all the things it needs to know, like what values it needs to have, what are the rules of being that person, all of that. And it can be pretty powerful, but if it doesn't know how you want it to grow up, it's not going to be as useful. You actually have to invest time into that up front, and then check in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you have to give it some structure as well on how to interact with others, how you interact with others, what is your business about, what are your goals, and so on.
Yeah, and I feel, to be honest with you, that's what feels really daunting. Although, so I have Rosie Cortez, who helps me a lot with my social stuff, and she put this whole like AI portfolio of me. She's like, here's what AI thinks of you. And I'm like, AI thinks that I'm the big sister of real estate. And I was like, oh, I kind of like that brand. Like, cause it was doing a brand review of like, who am I?
Nice.
Right. Or
what
have I put out there that people think of me, or whatever, something like that. I still don't understand it completely, but I was like, that's kind of cool. Cause I'm glad it didn't say mother. It said that I was everybody's sister. So that was good. But anyway, so it can be very helpful, especially if you're like on this branding journey, which is what I feel like I'm on right now. It's like, how do people perceive me, and how do I cultivate the right culture that people can have trust in me, and all of those things. And AI can help you accelerate that.
Absolutely. And that is also like you were talking about how it's daunting to get all this information in, right? And the thing is that, yes, you can spend hours just recording voice memos and texting it to your favorite AI tool, right? And that can be one way to do it. But the other thing is that you have this enormous amount of data that is already out there, right? It's your online presence. It's all the, in your case, all the podcasts and the videos that you've done, right? All of that together with all the emails that you've sent, right? And if you want to give it access to your texts, all the texts that you've sent, all of that is data about how you communicate, what you communicate about. And that's all information that it can already ingest and present a picture of who you are. And in a way, it could be an assessment or a reflection of like, this is who I am to the outside world, right? And you can get complex here if you want to, like just have 3 different AI models do the same thing and then see what the differences are, right? And just take the average or whatever. But it, in a way, it can be something that you can assess and then figure out if you want to change, right? So in a way, it reminds me of this. I think Hormozy says this, where people are complaining that they don't have a list of leads, right, when they're starting out a business or whatever. And he's like, no way, you do. Like, pull out your phone, look at your email, all the contacts that you've emailed ever since you created your Gmail account or whatever. And there you go. You have at least 1,000 people that you can contact, right? You have a list. Similar to that, it's like, well, you have data. It's what you've been doing so far. You don't have to necessarily just talk about, talk into it. And there's a lot of value in doing that. But as I said, I think you need a little bit of structure in putting that together. A lot of people are building these second brains, which is what I've built as well for myself and for a few folks that I work with. And that goes beyond just opening Claude or opening ChatGPT and talking to it, because you get to save the information about what you're actually talking to it in files in storage, and then it can retrieve that information as memories, and you're not just relying on Claude or ChatGPT to retain that memory of you, because it, at a certain amount of time, it actually caps it out, and then it starts hallucinating, and that's what a lot of people are noticing.
Experiencing, yeah. What's really funny, or at least an idea you just gave me? It's a terrible idea, but just something. And maybe I've been watching Chosen a little too much, but like I put this little Jesus Loves You nice. Character on my husband's desk. But imagine if you had an AI. This is, again, really crazy. If you had an AI, and then you would maybe people are doing this, because I have to believe people are doing it for growth and development too, where it's like, I want to be known or be seen as this person with these values and this characters. Like, judge my emails, judge my texts, judge all of that. Would I get through the pearly gates, based on the way that I'm behaving and acting? And if not, where are some areas that I need to improve so that I'm most closely aligning with this identity that I really want to have? So that seems to be powerful.
Find the gaps, right?
Huh?
Find the gaps.
Yeah.
Right.
So interesting. I hadn't thought about that till right now. It's like, because so many of us, we judge ourselves by our intentions, not by our actions. And then we judge other people by their actions, not their intentions. And I wonder if this will help kind of put some light in, what your real character is, so interesting.
Yeah. Try it out.
I know. But one of the things that you mentioned that I've been very cautious about, and I think I've been too cautious, because it's paralyzed me to some extent, but how do you create an environment? And maybe this is also a specialty of yours. How do you create an environment where you're not accidentally overspending because you're connected to, Claude or OpenClaw or all these other tools out there? And I'll give you an example. So I'm working with a company that does, and I'm I'm working to be sales support for them. And so every morning we do a little bit of role playing and identify certain things. And one of the things that was shared with me is that they use a really cool tool I can't mention because obviously IP stuff, but intellectual property stuff, where they're like, hey, we have to use this company for skip tracing because it's excellent. It's like the best or that we've seen. And all of a sudden it went from one thing to another. And so the price went up and I was like, oh my God, my stomach, right? So like having like the right ceilings or boundaries so that you don't, that accidentally doesn't happen. I mean, and I think I told you this, I keep reading headlines almost on a daily basis now on how certain companies are accidentally, and I say that word accidentally because they didn't think about it, overspending. This happened with Amazon. It's happened with Google. It's happened with Microsoft. Like everyone had a budget, but they didn't have the right boundaries to not overspend on these AI services.
No, it's a great question. There are some guardrails in place, and I will make the distinction between these big companies that you hear about, like Google and Amazon and so on, overspending, because what they're overspending on is they're giving their developers access to these tools so that they can be more productive, and that's absolutely the right way to go about it. And they have a different pricing structure than you would have as a consumer, buying a subscription on Claude, right? So let's just pick Claude because that's very popular right now. But all the other solutions out there, all the other providers like ChatGPT, OpenAI, including some of these Chinese models as well, they have subscriptions now, and I think a lot of people actually start there. And these guys, of course, spend a lot in user research and so on. So they're actually funneling people to go there because as an end user who's not an advanced coder, you would start there and you would buy a subscription that gives you a certain number of tokens or a certain usage per period of time. And if you meet that, then you don't exceed it, right? Like you're just blocked. You can't do more, right? So you pay $20 per month for Claude, and that gives you a certain usage per week. When you meet it, that's it. You don't have to pay more. Now you can choose to pay more if you want to. And even if you do that, then you can add certain limits and caps on how you want it to affect you, right? Like if you want to, okay, I'll go beyond the $20 per month, but I don't want to go beyond $50. You can put that limit in place. It's just that they're playing to their strengths, of course, and to the human character of like, oh, but this is so good. Like I need it. Like let me recharge. Let me add more, right? And that's what a lot of these models look like. So I wouldn't be too concerned about overspending because you have control over those caps. It's just a matter of making sure that you pay attention to them. And if you just buy a subscription and you're using your subscription, right? If you notice that you're using more than $20 per month, you can upgrade to the next one, and that's I think $100, and that gives you more usage. But there's another element to it, which I think you're getting to, and that is related to security, because you mentioned some of the concerns that you had, where a lot of people have had, especially when OpenClaw first came out, they had some private keys and so on exposed on the internet, and that just means that you have your wallet out in the open for people to just pick money from and use. And a lot of people have had that experience where, inadvertently their keys were exposed on the internet, and bad actors took advantage of that, just used them as their own, and they had to foot the bill. And that there were examples of tens of thousands of dollars in bills, right? So that is something else that is not related to billing per se, but it's a security issue. And I will say that if you are using these tools that are more established, like your ChatGPTs, your Claudes, and so on, even if you're doing some more advanced things with Claude has a very good sandbox, and the way that it integrates with other tools out there, with other APIs, with their connectors, that does not require you to actually have keys somewhere in a file connected to a repository on GitHub or whatever, and then have that repository be exposed. So I think for the most part, a regular end user is is fine and safe. Now, the same logic applies to what I said earlier of be careful who you work with and ask these questions of, hey, are you, where are my keys stored, right? Are you putting them somewhere in a repository, right? And unfortunately, this is something that you just need to know what to ask, right? Because otherwise, no vendor, no consultant will actually, offer it unless they are aware and want to help. But those are some things that you want to ask. So definitely ask about security. And I think a lot of people are more concerned about data privacy, and especially when it comes to some of these Chinese models and so on. Than they are about security. But I think security will hit them earlier than the privacy thing.
Well, that's wonderful. And maybe we should let the group know a little bit about, and this is why I love that you're my partner in creativelisting.com. Just a little drop again, guys, join creativelisting.com. It's for free. We're at how many users do we have now? 92,000?
92,000. Yep.
Let's go. We're trying to get to 100,000. So tell your friends, family, all the people about creativelisting.com. But anywho, where I was getting at is tell the people why you are qualified to help them in this regard. Like why, and arguably anybody who could vibe code could just do their little thing. And I think that's great. But something I even told my son, because he's learning computer science, and what I really want him to do, and this is just my mom talk, I was like, okay, you should really think about architecture of like how you would full stack do, development, because I still feel like that is contextual knowledge that is just completely missed by your everyday vibe coder. What say you, Raz?
Yeah, I will say that I definitely have an advantage because I went through the traditional kind of software engineering training, right? Like having gone through the whole curriculum that we had in place for that. There is a level of one understanding of what's actually happening behind the scenes that, as a vibe coder who's just putting in a prompt, getting an output, and then pressing publish, you don't really get, right? Especially when it comes, I will say this, vibe coding is absolutely great and has made things more accessible, which is awesome. It has made so many people be able to build things that they would otherwise not have been able to. And that, of course, like expands creativity, expands our GDP, right? Economic output overall, like it's all goodness. But I will say that, so it made 0 to 1 much easier, but 1 to 10 is still a bit harder, right? Because it's easy to publish. It's easy to create like proof of concepts. It's easy to create prototypes, to demo things. That's awesome. But when you have like edge cases, when your database is down, and you're running into an error that might actually wipe out your database, right? Like you want to make sure that you take some of these traditional principles and development principles into consideration when you do this, and that's where there's still a need for someone that has a bit more background and has built things and has a track record, right? That can help your business, right? So it's not just, yes, vibe coding is awesome, and you can absolutely create great things with that. And we've seen so many cool, awesome things being built with that.
Absolutely. And a little shout out to Justin Tumanowski. Thank you.
Oh, there we go. Hey, Justin.
Yeah, one of our favorite dudes. And hi, Kay Walker out there. I see you.
We should give a shout out to Justin, who just released Deal Sauce 2.0, right?
Yes, Deal Sauce 2.0 is now available. I caught a little bit of what he was mentioning around probate data, and like legit. So if you're on certain, I'll have you back on, Justin. We should talk about it on the podcast and just how amazing your data is, which my creative wholesaling team uses Deal Sauce. So we leverage Deal Sauce to do the agent outreach, bot team who does a lot of the list creations and automations, integrations. Like he pulls data from Deal Sauce and then moves it so that our team can call. So and let's see, creative listing needs to come into Deal Sauce. Just told the team. I love it. Absolutely.
Yeah. We're definitely talking to Justin about how we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's lovely. And then if you guys don't know what webhook is, go ahead and Google it. But anyway, but thanks, Justin. Love it. But yeah, this is why I think you have to be a little bit cautious of how you choose who you work with and what knowledge and value they're going to bring. Just as when I was, opening up and I was like, I want to teach agents how to become investors. Okay. If you're working with somebody who's never actually become an investor, they have their license and it's all conceptual, you should actually scrutinize that. I feel like from my perspective, I don't know how I got so lucky to be surrounded by nerds though. Like I got you, I got Owen, Meekum, I got, oh my gosh, Bobby Souza. Like I have these amazing brains all around me where I'm like, wow, like that's so cool. Cause, and I would argue our population of people that we're around is heavy enough on like all kinds of different backgrounds and walks of life that it is easier to connect with some really, really cool people who have a lot of great backgrounds. So anyways, but yes. Okay. So what would it look like if now knowing my business? Okay. So you told me you would start with an audit, right? Mm-hmm. I presume that like maybe you would go through like somebody's goals, their clarity, like what is their number one goal or movement that they want to see. I don't know, like, so, knock, Raz, I need AI in my life.
That's so broad, right? We need to break it down into what exactly does it mean and what does it do for your business? Because here's another thing, right? And there has been, I think it's a bit old now. I think it's like 3-4 months old. There is a study that MIT put together that shows the side by side companies that have invested a lot in AI and in AI usage across various different tools and giving people access to AI, and what return did they get out of that, right? I think the number was overwhelming. It was 80% of the companies that have spent a lot of money in implementing AI did not see any meaningful ROI out of that, right? And that's because probably bigger corporations, right? Just someone said we have to use AI, and then they just threw money at the problem. And it's like, okay, now we're using AI, right? There was no planning, no strategy in implementing that, right? So that's similar to what you said. Like, I need AI in my life, right? It's like, okay, great. Like you can get AI in your life by getting a $20 subscription. Like, go ahead. It's about how do you make it meaningful? How do you make it move the needles? I'm sure you've heard this as well. Like I use AI, but like, it doesn't do much for me.
Yeah, you're giving me a flashback. So I used to oversee master data management, right? So they're like, just put a software in there. Just put the database, like just put the rules. And I was like, one of the key quotes I used to say was, just because I build it does not mean they will come, right? Because if you guys ever watched Field of Dreams, which by the way was the first American movie I ever watched in English on my flight to Philadelphia from Columbia, where when I ported. I don't know why I remember that. It's why I really am a sucker for anything Kevin Costner. But the Field of Dreams, where on there it says, if you build it, they will come. Unfortunately, it's not the case in technology. At least my experience has been, you have to have a strategy. You have to have a marketing plan, in the sense of marketing, even if it's an internal system. Like for me, having that master data management system, just because we had it doesn't mean it was going to get used or it was implemented in a meaningful way. So usually the shtick that we used to have was like, it has to be a top-down project. Like all the leadership needs to be on the same page. and everybody has to agree that we're going to make these rules. So when you're thinking about your own business, it's like, okay, this is the way we're going to all agree it's going to get implemented, and you must use it for, this, that, and the other. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, I just had a flashback of like the experience I used to have in my corporate jobs. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's why I think the audit part is important, to figure out what is it that you want to accomplish and how can this get you there. And as we said earlier, the answer might not be AI, right? The answer might be you just need really good automation, and it's going to take you 90% of the way there, right? You don't need a fancy OpenClaw or Hermes agent to, run your business. You can add those things later on once you have that foundation in place, right? But if you're just starting and you're like, I don't have anything, this is what I want to do, help me figure it out. It's like, okay, cool. Here's how we can do it.
Yeah.
And I will say another thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, don't say the other thing.
I just remembered something that I ran into actually just yesterday. I was talking to a prospect, and speaking of the power of vibe coding and building things yourself, right? It's awesome to see now that when I get on calls with people who are looking for help, they've already built stuff. So that is so cool to see. Like, this guy already had a system that he built, but he was like, well, I have this web app that I built here, but someone in my team doesn't like it. So then I had to, they actually live in Excel, so they have their system over there. So what I did was I created an integration between Excel and this other app, so that the data flows and I keep this person happy working in my team there. So again, it's super great to see that people are building things, but an audit can actually help you figure out, oh, maybe there's something that you're not doing optimally, right? Because this might work for now, but it might actually break the moment that you introduce something else on your app and you've forgotten to put it in your Excel integration or whatever. Or there's some edge cases that you did not account for, that when your team member is on the phone with a customer, is running into a problem and she can't save the data, she gets frustrated and so on. And you end up losing business or losing hours doing that, right? So that's what I wanted to say. That it reminded me of this case as well. Yeah,
love it. Okay, so when you think about, so we went through the process of onboarding and really having a strategy. Like, so you need clarity, you need an audit, and then here's Kay's question. I use Claude every day, love it. Have built projects that help with repeatable tasks, especially tasks that involve large data sets. How does someone go from that to building an app or a website? And then she wrote to do those things. And then the other component of those things being like a title review, underwriting, PDF creation, etc.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And that's a very common progression, right? Like you first started with chatting, right? And you dump the information that you're working on in chat, and then you get the result back. Then maybe you graduate to something like a co-work experience where you might have some repeatable tasks that are done on a schedule, and you get some files updated. Maybe it's spreadsheets or Google Drive docs and so on. And that's awesome. But the next step is, well, you might want to share that with a team, right? And you need to build a web app or a portal-like experience that it's not just you who can access it and access those documents, but everybody in your team. And the answer is that, particularly Claude has made that pretty easy to do. And that is a graduation between chat and co-work and code, right? So if you can actually ask Claude to get you kind of a summary or a documentation of everything that you've built, and write it as a prompt for a coding agent on how they would build that. And then Claude Code in your desktop app is going to walk you through the steps of what you need to do that. I think it starts with setting up a GitHub repository just so you have a place to store the code that it writes. And then it will just walk you through it so you're able to chat with it the same way and prompt it. and then it will build a thing and we'll publish it. And the nice thing about it is that it will do it in a secure way, right? So when it's going to build a repository for you, like set it up, it's going to make it private. It's not going to make it public so that it doesn't expose it to the rest of the world. That's a choice that you can make later on if you want to do it.
Yeah, awesome. Very cool. Now, one of the things that you mentioned to me recently around AI, which is maybe a little bit more exciting, especially if you have a traditional business, right? So think about like insurance companies or not necessarily sorry, where am I going with this thought? Where you do have repetitive tasks, but they're very conversational, right? Imagine you are a receptionist and you answer phones, and the typical question is, do you have an appointment available on this date? And if the answer is no, having the intelligence enough to like reschedule them to a different date. But those things are repetitive, right? So think of like body shop, like a car body shop or a wellness center that gets phone calls like, hey, I need my Botox scheduled, whatever. So, so you and I were talking a little bit about conversational AI and how that helps so much more with staff. I think about hospitality, right? Like somebody calling in a hotel kind of setting, or trying to book something like an RV park, right? Like, would love your feedback on that and like how it can stay TCPA compliant right off the bat. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because that's actually an area of recent focus of mine, and I'm very excited about the whole conversational side of things, because it's been evolving quite a bit. Like if you listen to some of these agents and what they're capable of doing, you can hear them sigh. You can hear them have ums and uhs in the conversation that feel natural. Which is both scary and exciting, right? To see how much this has progressed. But what is really exciting here is the fact that it's helping businesses actually kind of recover revenue, right? Because a lot of these businesses with a front desk, they actually are missing a lot of calls, whether that's because the front desk person was busy, or they were out sick, or it was after hours, right? And a lot of these tasks are about booking appointments, rescheduling, things like that, which an AI agent can do. And one of the interesting stats that I researched fairly recently was that about 50% of small and medium businesses actually have missed calls in their business. That's a huge number. And out of those 50%, 85% of the people who call and don't hear back, they don't leave a voicemail and they don't call back again, right? So they just move on, right? Like what do you do if you have a plumbing emergency? You call the first number. If they don't pick up, you move on to the next one, right? So
that was so good. I had to write it down, by the way. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was also surprised. That's why I remember the numbers. Wow. Think about the value that you create if you are the business that has invested so much money in ranking on Google Maps or Yelp or whatever you're ranking super high as a regular business, and you're not able to pick up, right? With with a small thing, you're able to just always pick up. And whether that is take the person's number, like you just created a lead, right? And they reached out to you, it was inbound. And by the way, that helps with TCPA if leads reach out to you. The other thing is you can get an appointment, right? They can convert into a customer that can bring you thousands of dollars. And that's what's exciting to me about the conversational.
I think Carla needs this. She says, I love this. Carla actually has a growing business. Her and her husband, Felipe, they have a drywall company. And
a drywall company.
Imagine
okay, cool. Yeah.
You have to be able to, not just drywall, not just that they have a really budding company in the drywall space, but imagine also, and you can tell me this, if the AI agent can say, what language would you prefer speaking, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if somebody's calling Spanish or Chinese or whatever, it might be English, especially in certain areas of the country where certain languages are more prevalent, right? Like,
Right.
and it creates trust and understanding much faster. So, well, I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that piece. Is that something that you can inject
It
into
is.
your AI?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it is. And
Wow. That's
yeah, and
brilliant.
you can even make it you can make the experience be human like, oh, you speak you can always do the por español prima dos, right, or something like that. You told me.
Oh, I love hearing you speak
But
Spanish.
the other thing that you can do is like, oh, let me transfer you to my colleague Felipe, and then it's like boop 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 boop. Okay, hola, I'm Felipe, right?
Yeah.
And then they can carry the conversation
It's like a warm
in Spanish.
transfer.
Like a
That
warm
way
transfer, yeah.
you're not missing that call. I love that. That's what I was actually going to ask you, especially if it's probably better to get the AI even to just qualify the call, because maybe it's
Yep.
another spammer, right? So
Right.
you would rather want them to get like a soft qualification, then bring them into your space to answer the call. And it's so interesting because we are trying to do a campaign right now that's a direct to seller with a postcard. It's not returning the greatest results, so I'm thinking we might need to change the postcard. But part of that is them becoming an inbound caller. And what I told the team, because I have the money phone right now, imagine 1 to 2, because when I do my podcast on Wednesday,
you're not going to answer your phone during our podcast.
Not from 1 to 2, right? But it does tell me when it's the CRM of that specific call, so that I'm like, okay, if that number calls, I'm answering. Like, I could be, anyway. So except from 1 to 2 on Wednesdays when we have the Explain It podcast. But that would be so cool if I could have that agent answering those specific calls, because those are sellers. Those are direct to sellers, and it feels like if you have a direct to seller business, and any of it is related to inbound, especially maybe even on the off hours, it's okay if you don't turn it on during the on hours. You maybe have it on during the off hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, right? Like there's so much out there about like AI taking over jobs, and like I said before, this doesn't have to be like that. It can be augmenting your business, right? Like maybe you're super happy with your front desk people, and that's awesome, and you can just add this on top, or you can completely replace it and then have these people do something else in your business or oversee this, right? Like, oh, we're missing, the agent wasn't able to answer the question about I don't know what in our business, right? Let's figure out how we can add that to our SOPs that the agent reads, so that next time it can do it, right? So you're elevating people to be a manager of these agents. Right?
Yeah.
And to your point about direct to seller, I'm actually working with someone right now where we're talking about creating the scope of work for them. It's exactly for this. They're doing outreach, and they're posting out their number, and then sellers are calling them. And that's why I knew the question about Spanish, because I researched it for them. They actually had that requirement. Like I needed to be able to speak Spanish and to qualify the lead, right? If someone calls and says, I have a property for sale, to ask a few questions about that and figure out like, okay, are they willing to sell now? Are they willing to sell in a year from now? What does that look like? And all the regular qualification steps.
Yeah. Well, and Kay Walker, who is on the chat, she focuses a lot on land. And when you're doing a lot of the land type of marketing, there's time investment, and because you want to set yourself apart on how you're reaching out to sellers. And then there's a cost investment, right? So you want to have the best return on investment. And so it's like, gosh, how relieving would it be to know that no matter what, if that phone rings, it's going to get answered. So I can't believe this stat, guys. I wrote it down. He said 50% of small businesses, 50% of calls are missed with small businesses. Of those, 85% don't get a call back because they don't leave a voicemail or who they are. So I'm like, wow, that's daunting. That's literally money out the door. Because like we spend so much money and time and attention to, get the Google reviews, to be known on social media, to have people talk about us with their friends and families, right? Especially if you're a real estate agent. Like 72% of real estate agents haven't done a transaction in the last 2 years, something like that. Between 70 and 74% have not done zero. And then I learned a new stat. I love stats. I don't know why I like these like crazy trivias. Before COVID and all that, only 1.8% of agents were doing 20 or more transactions a year. 1.8, 20 or more. So it's like, that's less than one. What is it? I don't know the exact number because whatever 20 divided by 12, that's the average transactions. And those are like the 1.8 is 20 or more, right? So like that 20 is on the lower side. So when hopefully this also helps people with some despair problems where they start comparing themselves to like who's actually doing deals. It seems nobody's doing deals. So don't beat yourself up around that. I really would love to know more wholesaler stats too, but that's incredible. And I feel like this type of solution that you're offering these small businesses really, really can create such a big difference. And, these opportunities aren't just leaking. They're not just, leaving their front door without them ever knowing. So that's really cool.
So Raz, that's what I said. That's why I'm excited about it.
So Raz, if somebody wants to get a hold of you so that they can walk through, again, seeing whether or not you have the type of solutions that can help their small business, like how do they get a hold of you?
Specifically on the conversational side, I have my Instagram handle there. You can on the screen you can reach out through
Slide
Instagram.
Into your DMs.
DM, that's an option. And then I also have front-desk.ai. You can book a call there. That's for the conversational agents.
Wait, front.desk.ai?
Front-desk-desk.ai.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I got it. Did I get it right there? Front-desk.ai?
Yeah. My screen is kind of small, so I didn't see it, but
I'm gonna have to let's see this. Let's see this website. I love this. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen.
Front-desk.ai. Yeah. That's
this
one. Yep.
There we go. I love it. Okay, and this
there's
is what
there's a link there to book a call.
Nice. Okay, this is fantastic.
All right, and the other things the other ways to engage that I wanted to mention. Next week, I believe it's next week, Ingrid, we have a webinar on creative listing. We're going to cover some AI stuff with creative listing and give an update that people haven't really talked about a lot. So we're going to do that. So tune into our webinar on creative listing. And then also next week, I don't know if you're going to be there, but if you're in Phoenix, there is an event called the Business Club. There's a community called the Business Club. And
I actually have reserved.
Yeah, I am giving a presentation there on AI for business owners.
I love that.
So we'll talk more about this. If you want to meet in person, then we can talk there.
Come meet Raz in person. We've had a few people fly in for the Business Club. I think the furthest I saw was somebody come from Alaska and California. Wow. So definitely come check Raz out. I actually remember, I'm glad you brought this up. I sent it over to Mark and I was like, hey, book this. We're going there next Wednesday. So awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Raz.
Thank
you. As always, I enjoy hanging out with you. And
likewise,
guys, make sure you slide into Raz's DMs if you see an opportunity to work with him, especially if you have a small business. And thank you so much for being here. So, guys, we will catch you guys next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Arizona time, like we do every Wednesday on my YouTube channel. And thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week.
See you. Thanks, Ingryd.